My apologies on the puppies that I have. Mommy just got home. Anyway, so the Ojibwe Bay Marina has been in operation for over 50 years, and we're very proud of the fact that the marina has become well known as one of the premier stops on the Trent Severn Waterway. Also, during the early 70s, the Chippewas Rama developed what is called the Black River Wilderness Park off of 169. And again, that operation has been happening for almost 50 years, if not 50 years. So what we're very proud that it also is one of those little hidden jewels. If you ever get out to Black River Park, you'll see what a fabulous piece of property it is. The Black River winding through the park itself, and this year in 2021 we're fully booked. There are yurts over there, and it's a great place to spend a week, a long weekend, or just a couple of days, because it's out in the it's like a wilderness with water rushing through. It's a nice piece of property. Currently, in Rama, we have developed obviously the casino back in 1996. Now, the casino is an interesting story because we partnered in with it wasn't a partnership. I guess it was more of a discussion with the city of Aurelia and area uh, economic development wings back in mid '80s. Um, Everyone was concerned that there wasn't anything happening in the wintertime. Summertime, tourist season, everything is good. Wintertime, shoulder season, not a whole lot happening. And so, we put our heads together and we tried a couple of different things, but it didn't work out. But that thought was out there to look for industry, look for opportunity to create employment year round. We'll come back to that. Um, People frequently call me up and or stop me depending on where we are in the indigenous communities. Like how did Rama do this? How did you go from basically we had 85-90% unemployment in the 70s and early 80s to where if you want a job, you can get a job. And that's in the span of about 40 years. During the mid 80s, 83, 84, 85, we developed an action plan, community strategic plan. People like myself, who was on council, other members of council, the chief, and senior uh, staffers, we pulled the community together and we started to dream. What do you see, Rama, being in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? What would you like to see in the community? And so we've got a lot of data in 83, 84, 85, and then we began to implement. Each project needed a champion. And and to be a champion, you just need to have the drive to get it done. And one example was a young lady, she took on doing the newsletter. She didn't get paid for it. We paid for the paper, but she assembled it, and she did that job faithfully for about 25 years, which is phenomenal. And because she was the champion of getting news out to people in the community. We've had many different champions take on projects, and they need to be supported, encouraged uh, all the time. And so from 1985 to 1994, we had implemented everything that we had dreamed back in the mid 80s. We had accomplished it all, with the exception of two things in 94. And those two things were we did not accomplish the building of a seniors complex, and we did not accomplish the building of an arena complex for kids to play hockey. As I mentioned, 1990, 1994, we won the bid for the casino, and part of the negotiations for the casino and its implementation in the community was we negotiated an arena complex and we negotiated a seniors complex as part of that deal. And so we had accomplished everything that we had set out in the 84-85 community strategic plan. 94-95, we did another 10-year vision that would lead us to 2004, 2005. Again, we did that 2004 every 10 years. We've done that, and it is it's been a great tool. It's been a great ride, and we'll continue to do that in the community to build on what we have and give thanks for what we have. So again, part of that was the casino in 94, 95. We won the bid. We opened up the casino. When we opened up, we had 3,400 employees when we started in 1996. Not all full-time, full and part-time. And the revenues generated in the first year were about $590 million. And I was there as the vice president of corporate affairs, responsible for the indigenous issues related to the casino, and a year and a half later, I was given the HR portfolio as well. I stayed for 5 years up until 2001, and then I decided it was time to move on. Now, in Rama, the socioeconomic situation was bleak, as I indicated, in the 70s and 90s. 70s, in my opinion, was a dark age. There was a lot of alcohol abuse, and with alcohol abuse were a number of other abuses that were taking place, and that was because fundraising through a use of the hall for alcohol sales and dances was an easy way to make money. And unfortunately, every weekend you do that, you're going to cause some major social issues. And that's why the NADAP program, the National Native Alcohol and Drug Abuse Program, was introduced not just in Rama, but across the country. I was the first worker, as I indicated. And that, to be honest with you, was what began to catapult us forward. I was the only one that wasn't drinking, and as you can imagine, there was a lot of challenging circumstances related to that. But we overcame, and we grew stronger. We began to understand each other, and for the love of the community, we began to work together and to make things happen. And we have great relationships with the city of Orillia, the surrounding townships, the great people up in Muskoka, whether it's Port Carling, Gravenhurst, Bracebridge, Huntsville, Lake of Bays. We have strong relationships in the municipalities. And that's important, to have those strong relationships of understanding. The challenge, obviously, in recent months has been the finding of the precious souls that were lost 80, 90 years ago and are continuing to be found. But we are challenged with that, but we are tackling that in a very, humanistic manner, working with our colleagues in the municipalities and special organizations associated to those findings. Today, Rama, over 25 years, and I'm just going to round it off, that if you take 25 years and take $400 million a year of what the casino has generated, you're talking, $10 billion. And in payroll alone each year out of Rama, the payroll was approximately $80 to $90 million a year, which include the administration in Rama, but a big part of it obviously was from the casino. 4 or 5 years ago, Aurelia was basically deemed one of the hottest places to invest in the future. And I jokingly would say to the mayor and members of council, I said, oh, we got 80 $90 million leaving Rama. It doesn't all stay here. It goes somewhere. Well, it goes to Aurelia. But that's okay. You don't have to thank us, with a little wink in my eye. And so we have been major contributors to the economic well-being of the Aurelia and the area economy. And I'm very, very proud of that. And it's not anything that, we're looking for pats on backs or anything like that. No, you know what? It is what it is. And I'm thankful that we have been placed in this position to be able to do that. So, and we need to continue to do that. Today, just over the last, let's say, 10 years now, I've been on council now for 7 years, council member and chief. For the last 7 years that I've been on council, we have had over 100 members of our community either go to college or university, post-secondary education, each year for the last 8-9 years. And they're coming home and they've got their education and they're making contributions to the well-being of our community. Educated souls are contributing factors to the development of the Chippewas of Rama. I say to my colleagues and to anybody in the community who chooses to listen, our job is not just to create jobs anymore. Our job is to maintain jobs and build on what we have. That's our job. And so it's a little tougher when you've got something and you need to keep it going. But I'm thankful and happy to say that that's exactly what we're doing. Over the course of the last several years, we've had 2 land claim settlements. One was the Coldwater Narrows land claim back in 2012, I believe it was. And then more recently in 2018, we had the Williams Treaty First Nations claim that was settled and negotiated with the federal and the provincial governments. And so we have trusts that are set up that trustees who have no affiliation to council handle and monitor and work with a leading organization in the country on managing those funds for us. I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to kind of wind her down. part of my background that you may or may not know is I sat on the Ontario Parole Board for 10 years, from 2007 to 2017. And while I sat on the parole board had about 28 members on the board. I was the only First Nation member on the parole board. We had also 2 Métis non-status individuals who were on the parole board. That is not enough. That was not enough, and currently is still not enough. What I saw there were people who were from downtown Toronto making decisions on the future of Indigenous people who were from James Bay, Moosonee, flying communities from the north, where they had no knowledge of what actually goes on in that community. They go by, what the policy says without asking the pertinent questions related to whatever offense may have taken place. And I would have to educate and teach my colleagues from the city. Most of them were either lawyers or policemen on what goes on in a flying community. And because I'd flown up there in the 80s as part of the NADAP program. And that's the kind of work that is required, that we need to have in place. More individuals of First Nation heritage, people who actually grew up in the First Nation community. It's not to take away from the Métis people at all. Not at all. But you don't know what goes on and how things work in the First Nation community unless you actually live there and or work there. And I think it's important for people to understand that, and for us as leaders to bring that to government's attention. Let's see. I'm going to wind her down now. I want to say miigwech, Karen, for the call, and you may have to do a little bit of editing, but that's okay. And I'm free. If you want to Google me, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a couple of pages on Facebook as well. And if you want to know more, hear more, by all means, I'm at your disposal. My good friend Karen, miigwech, for calling me, inviting me. I hope this is satisfactory, but as I said earlier, I'm open to discussing more. Um, have a great day, and all the best to each and every one of you. Stay healthy, stay safe. Miigwech.